Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll begin with the management to take us through, to introduce to us what the project is all about. Then from there we get to the audit and it will take us to the issues raised in the management letter. You can have them before.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members of the National Assembly. And let me take this opportunity to extend my greetings to the National Committee and other members here present and my own team from the Ministry of Health.
Yes. So I think we missed one item. I think when it was not executed, that is the affirmation of code.
Okay.
It was found when it was not done.
Okay.
The flag is coming down, I think it should be very administered.
Jointly, okay. That is a for the presentation.
Yes, we now proceed.
Okay, thank you. And on the existing protocols, I would like to say we have the team here. We have the focal person responsible for the implementation of the SWEDD projects with the projects coordination unit. I would appeal to this noble assembly if we can allow the focal person to take the role in the project proposal, given the fact that he has been assigned to be the focal point for the project. And if anything, the project manager will come in, to make some clarifications. But I must say, this is a multi-sectoral project with several ministries participating in the implementation of the project. The Ministry of Health, has the responsibility of the fiduciary and the procurement, given the fact that we have the projects coordination with house in the ministry. With your permission, Chair, I will call on the project focal person to take this assembly through.
Okay, focal person.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the National Assembly. Good morning, PS and my colleagues from the PCU. Like the PS have already said, my name is Omar Bakri. I'm the operations officer for the SWEDD project here with the team. The project coordinator herself is here with the rest of the members of the team. If I will take you through the project in terms of giving you a quick background, I'll begin by saying, Peter have mentioned that it's a multi-sectoral project being implemented by several ministries, agencies across the government. It's important for members to know that it's a regional project entirely funded by the World Bank financially. It's a $25 million grant. We started effectively in the end of 2023. Prior to that, we've been engaged in preparations. As you know, projects like World Bank projects, before implementation starts proper, you have to undergo some preparatory work, which we have been doing in 2022, right down to 2023. Of late, in 2023, the last quarter of 2023, we got effectiveness from the bank. As such, the mic is off.
The mic?
Yeah. So, like I was saying, we got effectiveness the last quarter of 2023. And once you know that effectiveness has been granted by the bank, therefore implementation has to start effectively. Even though it's a World Bank supported project financially, we have other technical arms from the development partners who are also supporting in terms of giving technical guidance. And these institutions are the United Nations Population Fund, the World Health Organization, the West African Health Organization. These are institutions of development partners that are also playing a key role in terms of providing technical guidance. We'd also like to say that the project is targeting adolescent girls and young women across all the 8 LGAs in the country. Yes, so in terms of the objectives of the project, it's here to strengthen adolescent girls and young women empowerment. The project is also here to improve demographic transition to reduce gender inequalities. It's also here to do key intervention areas to achieve the project objectives in terms of areas that actually are here to entirely focus on empowering young women and adolescent girls. So if I have to mention, since it's a multi-sectoral project, the institutions that are specifically implementing the project, Ministry of Health, they are going to be focused on ensuring reproductive health services are provided to these young girls, adolescent young women. As I said, it's targeting adolescent girls and young women, in terms of ensuring that DBT kits are provided, in terms of ensuring that consultancies are also provided, ensuring that girls are protected in the area of healthcare service delivery. Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education is also an implementing partner. Since the project is here to support adolescent girls and young women, one of the pillars is to ensure that they go through secondary education uninterrupted. We know that it's a priority for government, but over the years, girls have been encountering challenges of ensuring that, making sure that they go through secondary education from grade 1 to grade 12, and the project is here to ensure that girls go through secondary education uninterrupted. And along the line, if there are some of them who drop out for one reason or the other, the project is here to ensure that you bring them back to school, making sure that the reason why they drop out, you by ensure that services or the support they needed is provided for them to come back to school. Ministry of Youth and Sports is also an implementing partner. Here we know that the youth need some career guidance. They need to be given some potentials to ensure that you give them a very good career pattern in making sure that their life more and well-being is also ensured. Here we're talking about making sure that safe spaces, these are environments, situations whereby you bring the youth together and and make sure that you give them the proper coaching, guidance, and support them in terms of whatever intervention they want to indulge in as far as youth activities are concerned. That makes them members of the implementing partner of the project. Now, demographic dividend aspect is also an intervention area for the project, and this basically is being implemented by the National Population Commission Secretariat. As you know, they are responsible for this particular area, and that makes them an implementing partner. We can talk about health service delivery for adolescent girls and young women without making sure that the nutrition aspect is also provided. And therefore, the project is here to ensure that support services are given to these adolescent girls and young women in making sure that the nutrition intervention area that they need is also provided. That brings in the National Nutrition Agency on board as also members of the implementing partners of the project. Yes, basically, these are the 6 institutions, in other words, like ministries or agencies that are forming as part of the implementing partners. Yes, my colleagues are also drawing my attention to one other important area that the project has also come to address, and that is ensuring that harmful traditional practices, such as so Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare are also an implementing partner of the project, simply because, like I said, the project is also here to ensure that some of those harmful traditional practices that is affecting the welfare and the well-being of adolescent girls is also minimized to a level that we no longer see it as a threat to the growth of these girls, and that is early marriage, female genital mutilation, sexual, harassment, all those SGBV issues, sexual gender-based violence issues that are affecting the girls is also addressed. And that makes the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare as part of the implementing partner to ensure that those harmful traditional practices that are affecting the young girls, early marriage, female genital mutilation, sexual gender-based violence, are also addressed, because we know statistics have shown that we're still, as a country, affected, by this particular, behaviors in society. Therefore, the bank felt it important that it's important also we look at this area and make sure that the welfare of girls is also addressed. By extension, the same Ministry of Gender is also implementing a key component of the project, which is economic empowerment of these adolescent girls and young women. Here, what the project is trying to do is to offer grants, small grants, to registered entities, groups or individuals, women, who are indulged in economic activities. And by giving them some grants to embark on economic activities that are whatever they choose to do, either as individuals or as groups, as long as the criteria that has been set to be able to fulfill this intervention is concerned. We, in ensuring that we do not allow the girls to marry at an early age, we felt it's important that you make sure that you ensure that girls are not forced to marry, in terms of providing a thorough advocacy, advocacies to policymakers, decision makers, local leaders, national leaders, to ensure that the systems are built, and not only building the system, but ensuring that the system is strengthened, to ensure that you register, all girls are registered, in terms of making sure they have the right birth certificate, because we realize that girls are marrying at an early age. One of the reasons is because we are not able to establish whether they are underage or not. And we know by law, by the Children's Act, any child or any girl that is married below the age of 18 is considered underage marriage. And the project is to ensure that we do away with the habit of making sure that girls marry at least before they are 18. And here, we will also support Ministry of Justice and all other partners that are working with them to ensure that girls are registered to ensure that they do not marry before the age of 18. And this is why Ministry of Justice is also a key implementing partner of the project. So I think in a nutshell, this is the project. We started effectively, like I said, in late 2023. The project ends in December 31st, 2028. We are now perhaps in the second year of implementation. At this point in time, I think I will stop here. Maybe if other questions will follow, or we'll be happy to address or answer. Besides, I have my team here. There's anything that probably we need to add on to. Yeah, most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, if there's any question pertaining to what you just put in the introduction, please let us know before we proceed with the answer. You can take note during consideration, and you can ask in the introduction of the management figures as they presented. Anyway, now take us through the salient issues that are included in the management letter as proposed, the findings and the recommendations. Let's start with the background of the audit. Just direct us with the each section directly. The project coordinator, this introduction, project coordinator?
Yes, Chair.
The introduction, is it written? That you have just presented, is it written?
We can make it available. We have a presentation on the overview of the project.
Okay, you can do so, please.
Okay, is there an email address we can send it to?
Okay, you can do so, please. The clerk will provide the email address.
Thank you.
Any
Good morning, honorable members and everybody present here. We're here to read the SWEDD audit. It was a special audit that was conducted in pursuant to section 160, subsection 8 of the Constitution of the Gambia.
Can you refer us to the page?
The background is page 7.
Page
7, yes.
Starting from 6, I think started from 6.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Can I proceed?
You can proceed.
Pursuant to section 158, subsection 2 and 3 of the Constitution of the Gambia, 1997, in the exercise of his or her functions under this Constitution of any other law, the Auditor General shall at all times carry out economic exchange.
Sorry, can you start from page 5?
Yeah, that's
Also, in the book is page 5.
That's not where it started. At all times carry out economic efficient and effective examination to satisfy himself or herself that public funds are spent in such manner as to reduce waste, eliminate inefficiency, and maximize the benefits to be gained from the use of resources. Have power to disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to law and to surcharge the amount of any expenditure so disallowed upon the person responsible for incurring or authorizing the expenditure. or any sum which has not been brought into account upon a person by whom that sum owed has been brought into account, or the amount of any loss or deficiency upon any person by whose negligence or misconduct the loss of deficiency has been incurred. So Section 4, the Auditor General and any member of the National Audit Office authorized by him or her shall have power to call for and inspect all books, records, return reports and other documents in the exercise of the functions conferred upon him or her by the Constitution or an Act of National Assembly, and to make such inquiries and to call such witness who, in his or her opinion, have any responsibilities in relation to the accounts referred to in subsection 1. Section 13, mandate of the Auditor General of the NAO Act 2025. Without prejudice to the function of the Auditor General under Section 160 of the Constitution, the public accounts of the Gambia and of all public offices other than that of the Office of the Auditor General, including the programs and activities underlying the accounts, shall be reported on by the Auditor General. For the purpose of subsection 1, the public offices of the Gambia shall include all offices and authorities of the government, all offices and authorities of the government, the judiciary, all public enterprises. The Auditor General shall examine the accounts of the entities subject to audit and ascertain whether his or her opinion the account have been properly kept, all public monies have been fully accounted for, and rules and procedures applicable are sufficient to ensure an effective check on the assessment, collection, and proper allocation of the revenue. Monies have been expanded for the purpose of which they were appropriated, and the expenditure have been made as authorized. Essential records are maintained, and the rules and procedures applied are sufficient to safeguard and control public property. Programs and activities have been undertaken with due regard to economic efficiency and effectiveness in relation to the resources utilized and results achieved. The Auditor General shall exercise such functions as may be incidental to the above or conferred on him or her by an Act of National Assembly. Subsection 14, authority and powers of the Auditor General in the exercise of his or her functions. The Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority. Shall have access to all books, records, and return reports, documents, and facilities related to or relevant to those accounts and programs and activities underlying the accounts and access to premises, stores, or any government property. May search and make copies or take extract from any book, document, or records in any public office without the payment of a fee. May undertake audits at the request of third parties, such as international donor agencies. May charge a fee for the purpose of meetings in the cost of auditing any entity which is not budget agency, and such fees shall be credited to the National Audit Office. May station any of his or her staff at the premises of the entity that is the subject of an audit or examination. May disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to law and surcharge. Any sum which has not been brought into account upon the person by whom the sum also have been brought into account, or the amount of any loss or deficiency upon any person by whose negligence or misconduct the loss of deficiency has been incurred. Thus, we have conducted the forensic audit at the SWEDD project in response to the system audit for the period of 1st August 2022 to 31st March 2025, conducted by the Internal Audit Directorate, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. The background of the audit. The project, Sub-Saharan Africa Women's Empowerment and Demographic Dividend Plus Project, SWEDD Plus, is a World Bank funded project. The project development objective is to increase girls and women access to learning, economic opportunities, and utilization of health service, and to strengthen the region-wide institutional capacity for gender equality. The project consists of several key components that aim to address different aspects of gender inequality and empower girls and women in the Gambia. Each component is handled by an implementing partner. These components include Component 1, the design and implement gender transformation intervention that promote girls and women's social and economic autonomy. Subcomponent 1, social and behavioral change communication campaign, strengthening marriage registration using birth certificate for child marriage prevention. improve life and livelihood skills and sexual and reproductive health and rights of adolescents, keep girls in school through at least secondary level to delay marriage and early childbearing, economic and financial inclusion to increase agency and opportunities for AGYW, strengthen GBV prevention and response actions. Component 2, improve the availability of reproductive, maternal, newborn, child and adolescent health and nutrition services and qualify health workers at the community level. Subcomponent 2 includes enhanced availability of contraceptive and RMN, CHN services at the community level, enhance the performance and pharmaceutical supply chain, including last mile delivery. Improve the availability and capacity of health workers, providing RMN, CHN services in rural and isolated areas. Foster regional and national commitment and capacity for policy making on gender equality and project management. Strengthen legal frameworks and political commitment for girls and women's reproductive health rights at continental, regional, and national level. Strengthen capacity for policy making and M&E related to demographic, dividend, and gender issues. Support project implementation capacity. Financing of the SWEDD project. The International Development Association, the IDA, agrees to extend to the government of the Gambia a grant, which is deemed as concessional financing and purposes of general condition in an amount equivalent to 18,700,000 special drawing rights financing to assist the financing the project described above. The payment dates are March 15 and September 15 each year. The payment currency is in dollar. The SWEDD project is funded by the World Bank with a total project of $25 million US. Going to page 11. Going through the findings. The findings and start from page 18. Page 18, detailed findings.
Page 18.
Yeah. It's the same as the hard copy.
16.
No, that's okay.
Can you go to page 16?
Yeah, page 16 is indicating the criteria. So if we can move to page 24, that's 21 on the hard copy. Page 21.
21. Yes. 3.1.1.
Yeah, finding. The first finding, award of contract to the highest bidder. Documentary review, analysis and interview with key personnel reveal significant issues with a contract awarded to KMF Technologies Company Limited on 4th December 2023 at a tune of $1,300,000 for the procurement of 14 Toyota Prado vehicles. This procurement suggested multiple areas of administrative and financial non-compliance, lack of value for money, and indication of potential conflict of interest among the supplier, PCU staff, contract committee members. Specific findings include incompetent vendor and non-motor vehicle dealer. The contract for the purchase of Toyota vehicle was awarded to KMF Technologies, a company that is neither registered as a motor vehicle dealer nor authorized to sell Toyota vehicles in the Gambia. Safe Harbor Gambia Limited is the sole authorized distributor of Toyota vehicles in the country. Yet KMF Technology, an IT service provider, was selected despite their limitations. Interview with the General Sales Manager of CFO and Country Representative of AYK Rental revealed that KMF Technology purchased 10 vehicles from Safer Gambia Limited through AYK Rentals, thus bypassing standard procurement practices. An interview with Kaifa Mfao, CEO of KMF Technology, indicates that he imported the vehicles after getting them from Mobility Limited, which was actually unfounded, as our further investigation established that he purchased 10 vehicles from Safer Gambia Limited, who imported these vehicles after securing a duty waiver from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Recommendation: the project coordinator and procurement specialist must ensure that future procurement activities strictly adhere to established procurement guidelines and regulations, ensuring contracts are awarded only to competent and authorized vendors, and also implement a vendor pre-qualification process to ensure that only authorized and competent suppliers participate in procurement process. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health, must initiate a thorough investigation to identify and address potential conflict of interest involving PCU staff, contract committee members, and the supplier. And establish the financial impact of engaging KMF Technology and take appropriate measures to recover the undue costs incurred. Second finding. That's 3.1.2. Ineligible expenditure, significant overpricing, and financial losses amounting to 37,394,000. Finding: the unit price paid per vehicle was $92,857, totaling to $1,300,000 for 14 vehicles. This unit price far exceeded the prevailing market price. There are similar models were priced at $52,901, which is equivalent to $3,200,000 per vehicle by Safer Motors Gambia Limited. These discrepancies indicate an estimated overpayment of $37,394,000 if all 14 vehicles were purchased from Safer or from a dealer with similar price range, which could have been avoided through competitive resources from authorized dealership rather than KMF Technology Limited, who is also the highest bidder in the submission and evaluation process. According to the Central Bank of the Gambia website, the dollar rate as of 22nd September 2023, which was indicated in Safer invoice date, was $60.48 butut per dollar and $63.06 butut per dollar as of 1st December 2023, which was the date signed and the contract was signed. The evidence we gathered revealed that KMF Technology Limited purchased 10 vehicles from Safer Motors and imported the remaining 4 vehicles, but whose price could not substantiate by the audit team. Could not be substantiated by the audit team. Recommendation: we recommend for further investigation of the estimated overpayment of $37,394,000 and to ensure a full recovery from the former project coordinator, contract committee members and procurement staff, and to identify any undeclared conflict of interest between PCU officials and KMF Technologies Limited. All capital goods procurement requests should be subject to price reasonableness, reviewed by the World Bank or the project implementation team before approval and disbursement. The project coordinator, procurement specialist, and contract committee must ensure all future vehicle procurements are made directly from authorized distributors to avoid unnecessary intermediaries and inflated costs. 3.1.3. Procurement, absence of procurement documentation and rationale. Finding: the audit team was not provided with evidence and supporting documentation of the need assessment or input from project implementing partners, indicating the need for 14 vehicles. Additionally, there was no justification for the budget overrun of $1,300,000 from $750,000 initially budgeted. Recommendation: the project coordinator, financial controller, procurement specialists, and contract committee members must ensure that all procurement decisions are backed by formal documentation, including need assessment and IP inputs, to verify that procurement were driven by project requirement rather than personal interest or arbitrary decisions. 3.1.4 Non-compliance with GPPA regulations. Finding the procurement process failed to adhere to the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Act 2022 and World Bank procurement guidelines, as evidenced by the lack of transparent criteria for vendor selection and the disregard of authorized dealership channels. Recommendation: the project coordinator must implement a robust compliance monitoring mechanism to prevent future deviations from procurement regulation and develop and enforce clear, objective criteria for vendor selection to ensure fairness and transparency in contract award. The project coordinator, procurement specialists, and contract committee members should prioritize direct engagement with authorized dealership to guarantee quality and value for money. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, must immediately initiate an independent investigation into the procurement process to identify and hold accountable individuals responsible for the irregularities and recover overpaid funds through appropriate legal and administrative measures. 3.1.5 Potential conflict of interest and fraud. Finding: KMF Technology Limited awarded the contract after being the highest bidder, raises concern of a possible conflict of interest. This act shows favoritism or potential undue influence from officials with the project coordinator unit, and more so onto the contract committee. Recommendation: the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, and World Bank should conduct an independent investigation with the role of PCU official and the contract committee to determine whether undue influence or favoritism occurred during the procurement process. A review and reinforcement of conflict of interest policy between the PCU and procurement functions are essential to prevent favoritism and ensure transparent procurement processes. Officials involved in the procurement process should disclose any connection to vendors to prevent biased decision making. 3.1.6 Evidence of bid rigging manipulation in the procurement process. There is evidence of bid rigging in the procurement process as indicated on the advertisement of an open tender dated 6 September 2023 to 22nd September 2023 on the Voice newspaper titled Vehicles for SWEDD Plus Project, with RFB reference number GM SWEDD GM377866 GORFB. Previous year FIMOTO issues 2 invoices dated 22nd September 2023 with reference number LS 2209 2023 KMF1 and LS 2209 2023 KMF2, and description KMF Technologies on behalf of PCU for the supply of Toyota Land Prado VX Auto Station Wagon FW Diesel 3000cc, and contract award notification was sent to KMF on 30th November 2023 and eventually signed on 1st December 2023. The fact that our notification was sent to KMF on 30th November 2023 and eventually signed on 1st December 2023, the fact that KMF received these invoices from the evaluation was completed and contract awarded raised a huge red flag of bid rigging and manipulation in the contract award process. This did not only defeat the purpose of competitive procurement and undermines the principle of transparency, fairness, and competition, but also exposes systematic fraud risks within the procurement framework. The coordinated issuance of invoices in favor of KMF prior to evaluation and award is the strong indicator of fraud, favoritism, and possible collusion between the supplier and the procurement officials. Recommendation: the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, should launch an independent investigation to examine the role of the project coordinator unit. The contracts committee members, CFO, Motors, and KMF Technology Limited in this procurement process. The contract committee must implement stronger oversight mechanism to ensure that all procurement activities are transparent and comply with the applicable laws and regulations. We herewith propose to offer trainings and support PCA management and contract committee members on procurement ethics, fraud prevention, and the importance of adhering to procurement laws and regulations. 3.1.7 Misallocation of vehicles. Finding. Review of the asset register revealed that 14 Toyota Prado vehicles were issued to PCU, Directorate of Gender, Ministry of Health, Office of the Vice President, Education Unit, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Directorate of Gender Equality, and instead of project implementation partners on the ground. If a proper need assessment was conducted, these vehicles were not have been given to the offices that already had vehicles in their possession. Recommendation. The PCU management should conduct a comprehensive review of the current allocation and the allocated vehicle to project implementation partners on the ground based on actual needs. Strict guidelines must be established and enforced for conducting need assessment to ensure future procurement of this magnitude aligns with project objective. 3.1.8 Late delivery of vehicles. Finding. One of the bid evaluation criteria highlighted on the bid evaluation report that got KMF technology the contract was delivery. And KMF promised to deliver the vehicle before 31st December 2023, as indicated on their bid submission. However, they were not fully delivered until 1st February 2024, having a significant impact on the project implementation process. Recommendation: the PCU should implement robust contract monitoring mechanism to ensure suppliers are hired to agreed timelines and regular progress updates and follow-up should be conducted. Conclusion. The procurement process for the purchase of 14 Toyota Prado vehicles from KMF Technologies lacked transparency, compliance, and value for money. Immediate corrective actions, including a thorough investigation, recoveries, and process improvement, is necessary to address these issues and safeguard against future inefficiencies and fraud. This was a blatant breach of GPP Act 2022 and World Bank procurement guidelines. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the great presentation. Honorable members, anyone who concluded the presentation, as I will have your honor. Today's meeting is meant for the presentation and consideration and consideration is scheduled to take place on the 28th, when the management will be responding to the queries that are highlighted. There are other comments that the auditors also provided was the response of the management. If those issues are not addressed, then the company will be injured in the management and them, and that will inform us as what should form part of our report. And then our level members, the ability to the AOB doesn't concern the ministry and the team. So at this juncture, I have the honor to allow the ministry to take the leave and then to come back on the 20th for the consideration. Yes, and the team, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable, thank you for now.
Thank you very much.